Hello people of YouTube, and I am Devon Cantleys, as you all know, and I'm going to be reviewing the movie Creepshow. Alright, now Creepshow is one of my all-time favorite films ever since I was a child, basically. Here I am, 18-year-old dude, reviewing Creepshow, and I've been watching the film since I was about, what, 5, I think? And for the last decade, I just watch it non-stop. I love this movie so much, it always brings back childhood memories, and let me tell you some facts why. So, we have Stephen King and George Romero. They come together and they make some ideas, and they thought, of course, to make this film. And God is just a really great person to create Stephen King and George Romero, because these two have fantastic talent, especially when coming together and making a movie like Creepshow and its successor, Creepshow 2. Now, I have some things to review for Creepshow 2 as my own, and a lot of good things to talk about because I really do love this film. So, Creepshow came out around 1982, long before I was born. Came out in 1982, which was a good year for a lot of for horror movies. Not a good year for Halloween, I'll tell you that, especially with Halloween 3 coming out and stuff, and have nothing to do with Michael Myers, but whatever. It was a good year for George A. Romero and Stephen King, who were doing Creepshow. And by the way, 1982 was the same year that the movie Poltergeist came in. So 1982 was a really good year for horror. Seems like a lot of good horror movies came out that year. So critics and review. On Rotten Tomatoes, there's a 69% fresh score. So that means it's a pretty good movie. I mean, the critics are very critical, of course, with every movie. So the 69% is actually pretty good in my opinion, because you'll hardly have those movies out there that the critics will give an 80 or even a 90% on a film. And so this movie is basically 3.5 star, almost 4. So you have to watch this movie. I guarantee you have to watch it. Now, just because the movie's old doesn't mean it's good. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you watch horror films today, they're not as good anymore. It doesn't have that. It's all stupid. I mean, it's the usual group of people that are in their teens and 20s doing the stupid stuff and all that stuff. And then they get killed. And it's like the same stuff. But what I like about older horror movies is that they keep you glorified. I mean, you get creeps. I mean, I actually had nightmares watching one of the segments in this film. It actually keeps you entertained, and it actually wants you to be. It makes you want to be scared and all that stuff. You don't get that same feeling with movies today. You just don't. So don't judge the horror movie by its age, because newer does not always mean better. I'll tell you that. What I really like about what I like about the movie is music. It's a really good score from John Harrison. I personally like to listen to the score myself when I'm on the internet. It's pretty good. Some pretty good score, I'll tell you that. The music fits perfectly with each segment, and I'm glad that you have this good movie and excellent music to go with it, because who does not want a good soundtrack to go with a movie? So let's see, what else are we going to talk about? So we got a few key actors in this movie. I'm going to mention some popular ones. We have Leslie Nielsen, who unfortunately passed away in 2010. He's the He's a guy that you saw on Scary Movie 3 and 4. He plays Richard in the third segment, Something That Tied You Over. That was actually a good segment. They're all heck of a good anyway. The last one's creepy. We have Stephen King himself that plays Jordy Vera on the second segment. And what is the name of the second segment again? Oh, the Lonesome of Jordy Vera. I almost forgot. The Lonesome Life of Jordy Vera. Yeah. So not only he created this, he co-created the film, but he acted in it too. And also he does a little cameo appearance in Creepshow 2 if you watch the last segment, and you'll see not Jordy Vera but Stephen King. We also have Tom Savini. Of course, he only makes a little cameo at the end of the movie, but he's a key character because you'll see him play in Creepshow 2, the successor of Creepshow, of course, and you'll actually see him playing the creep. This guy right here. And then you have Tom Atkins, and I really like Tom Atkins. Tom Atkins plays Stan. He's a father of this. He's sort of an abusive father that you'll see in between segments. Because of course the movie starts off with this little boy named Billy. He has these comic books, and his father doesn't want him to read them. So then he goes all berserk and he starts hitting them, and I like this accent he has. It's like a Jersey or a New York, more of a New York accent. So Tom Atkins, he did so good that it took me a long time to actually realize it was him, because this whole time I thought it was a guy that just looked like Tom Atkins. But Tom Atkins is a pretty decent actor, so yeah. So we're going to get down to the plot. So after Stan goes berserk on Billy, and then his mother, she's a little protective over his son. She's just neutral in it. She's not really picking a side. She's a really good mom, it seems like. So you have Billy that's in his room. He's pissed, and he's just saying to his father, "I hope you rotten HE double hockey sticks." I'm not gonna say the whole thing. And next thing you know, we hear this creepy laugh, and it's this guy, the creep. And afterwards, you see the film go into an animation, and you see the creep, I guess, open the trash can where the dad put the comic in, and then he takes it out, and then that's where we see the title. Here's the thing about Creepshow 1 and 2. Creepshow 1 and 2, actually, you'll notice they have a good opening sequence. And in my opinion, to be considered a Creepshow movie, you have to have a good sequence with the comics and everything. It's like a foreshadow you see with each piece of a comic. You're seeing what's to come. And unfortunately, Creepshow 3, I'm gonna quote, Creepshow 3 didn't do that. They didn't do that at all. So they don't deserve to be considered a Creepshow movie. But I'm not here to talk about Creepshow 3. I'll get to that later. We have the first story that starts off with, it's Father's Day. Now, Father's Day is a really good story. It's they're all my favorite, but that's probably the most favorite. It basically starts off with this royal family, and you have these two, I'm not going to call them kids, of course, just, adults, about in their late 20s, early 30s, their prime life, with their old aunt, and she talks about, I think it's her uncle, a guy named Nathan. They talk about, I'm sorry, they flashback 7 years and they talk about how evil Nathan is and how sadistic and crazy and a little abusive he is, and to his daughter named Bedelia. Bedelia is also having reminiscing what happened 7 years prior to this film. She's in his house. It's Father's Day, and she's making this cake for him. And all you see the old man doing, Nathan, is just banging his cane. Where's my cake, Bedelia? I want my cake. It's actually kind of funny when he keeps doing that, and then he's like, I want my cake, Bedelia, you female dog. Yes, he actually says the B word. Yep, old people don't stop cussing, that's for sure. So Bedelia goes berserk. She can't take it anymore, so she gets a marble ashtray and bashes her father's head with it. And then when Bedelia she goes to his grave and wishing him a happy Father's Day, and she's sort of just letting out all her anger about how he had her fiance killed and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden you see this hand sticking out. It's Nathan. He's back in zombie form, and there's only one thing he wants: the cake he never got. So he suffocates her by strangling her. Then he moves to each family member of his. Well, he doesn't kill his two great. He doesn't kill the last two adults, his great niece and great nephew. But in the end, there's a little weird, shocking twist to it. I'm not gonna reveal it, so yeah, you're gonna have to catch that one on your own in this film. Okay, so the second one is The Lonesome Life of Jordy Verrill. This one's okay. I mean, he's basically the only character in the sequence. I mean, there are some other people you see, but that's only through thoughts and flashbacks and all that stuff. But it's basically him versus nature, or it's like what, person versus nature, or person versus self, or something like that. This meteor comes down, he touches it, and then he slowly starts to turn to like this grass man and all that stuff. So I guess it's an okay one. I mean, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but it's an okay one. Another favorite of mine is Something That Tied You Over. That one has really best score in my opinion, with the music from John Harrison. I guess I'm trying to figure it out more myself, even after like 13 years of watching this movie. You have this guy named Richard, and he figures out, I guess a friend of his, Harry, younger friend of his, because he's a little older, that his wife has been having an affair with his friend Harry. So what he does for revenge is that he takes them out to the sea and then drowns both of them by burying them, leaving their head out, and then the tide comes in and they drown them. And so he thinks they're both dead and he's good. But then he starts getting a little worried because he should be worried, because the two that he murdered actually come back as some sort of water zombies, and then they do the same to him in return. Okay, so the fourth one, another favorite of mine, is called The Crate. Basically, where these two people discover a professor and a janitor discover this crate, like and they look inside and see, and then there's some sort of ape, yeti, monkey creature, and he eats people and whole. I have to say, it was the crate that actually gave me the nightmares, because that creature, he really scared me. I actually had a couple nightmares when I was younger after seeing him, but the fourth one is, I have to say, it's the scariest. The fourth one's the scariest. The fourth story of this film is scary. There's no fourth Creepshow. Let's hope there isn't. So I'm not gonna get too much in details about that one because it's too good for me to give you all the details. Now the fifth story, it's not the scariest, but it is the creepiest. It gives you the crawls. It gives you the shakes a little bit, because this one deals with a man living in this high top apartment and all that, and it's infested with an infinite amount of cockroaches. And then every time I see those cockroaches just crawl around and all that stuff, and they crawl on his skin, it just gives me the creeps, and it makes me want to shake. And it's like, after seeing they're creeping up on you, the fifth story, it's so every time I get done singing, you know how I get that feeling where when there's something crawling on me but there isn't, and I do this. Like, that's how I feel like every time I end up watching it. So after the end of all 5 stories, we get back to, the household of Billy and his father and his mother. And his father is having some pains, the dad, and then we find out that it's Billy would have voodooed all of his father, and he's stabbing it, which is making him feel all this pain. And that's Creepshow. So, out of 5 stars, I give Creepshow 4. I'm gonna give it 4, maybe even 4.5, because this is a really good classic film. It's that film that you just can't stop watching. You're gonna want to see it more than once. I mean, I've been watching it for 13 years and I haven't gotten tired. And the tagline, it's exactly right. It's the most fun you'll have being scared. They're right. So, watch Creepshow. So, hope you enjoyed my review, and I'll be doing some more. See you later.